And fabulous prizes, too. Good afternoon. It's wonderful to be here today, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you on what turns out to be a pretty good day for the economy. You know, this morning the Labor Department announced the private sector had added 150,000 jobs last month, the most since the spring. You know, we've been hearing a lot about the need to create jobs, but unfortunately we haven't heard a lot about innovation, which is the most essential ingredient in job creation, as I think everyone here knows. So this afternoon I want to share some ideas on how we can renew innovation by reinvigorating a sector of our economy that too often is overlooked. I'm referring to the arts, which is a $165 billion a year industry that includes 6 million full-time jobs, or about the same number as the residents of Maryland, our 10th largest state. I want to share my vision for the arts in America, including how we can use the arts to help our nation meet its greatest challenges, and not only economic obstacles, but the challenges we face in workforce development, education, and our relationship with the rest of the world. And I also want to discuss the unique role of media in promoting the arts, particularly PBS, and our efforts to strengthen the public's engagement in this area. Let me begin by noting that while the recession may have officially ended, the number of unemployed Americans still stands at 15 million, more than the population of Illinois, our 5th largest state. Yet to view America's economic decline as just a recession, even a great recession, as so many historians have dubbed it, is only to see part of the picture. Because when you step back, it's clear that our economy hasn't just receded, it's been transformed. Look at what globalization is doing to the technology industry. Software companies can pay someone in the United States $75,000 a year to design their product, or they can outsource the job, where someone will do it for $15,000. Consider what the internet is doing to once stable professions like law and accounting. Thanks to a host of do-it-yourself legal sites, 1/3 of all divorcing couples in America now do so without stepping foot in a lawyer's office. And this tax season, H&R Block's business dropped by 7%, while sales of TurboTax surged by 10%. I believe Daniel Pink, Wired Magazine's editor, who writes extensively about America's changing economy and workforce, put it best when he said, "The keys to the kingdom are changing hands." And as he explains, our economy is no longer ruled by computer programmers who crank code, or lawyers who craft contracts, or even MBAs who crunch numbers. Instead, Mr. Pink writes that the future belongs to a very different kind of worker, including inventors, designers, big picture thinkers. This is why the arts are so important to our future. Think about it. In a world where technology and trade have transformed our planet into one massive labor market, Americans must offer new skills to compete, skills that can't be downsized, automated, or outsourced. Skills like creativity, originality, and inventiveness. In other words, the skills of an artist. Now, what does this mean? Are we talking about becoming a nation of painters, musicians, crafters? No, although I think that's not a bad idea. What it does mean is Americans must begin thinking like artists. This is especially important when it comes to cultivating our next generation. Children are instinctively creative, as anyone who's ever sat with a preschooler and a tray of finger paints knows. Yet, as many people move through our schools, they seem to lose their natural love of learning. Richard Florida, an economist who studies creativity in the United States, believes this is because we're still relying on schools designed for the industrial age. As he sees it, our schools, with their emphasis on standardized tests and rote memorization, are still preparing young people for careers on the assembly line. To illustrate this, Professor Florida points to all the technology entrepreneurs who've started great companies in their dorm rooms and garages. He asks, why are young people creating innovative companies in their spare time? Isn't this precisely the kind of creativity that we should be encouraging inside America's classrooms? Now, let me be clear, I'm not suggesting we use class time to teach children how to start businesses. But I think his larger point is worth considering. We must transform our classrooms into places where creativity is encouraged. This is why I'm a strong proponent of art and music, two subjects that are proven to help students improve their overall academic performance. Yet, despite all evidence, in many school districts, art and music aren't just relegated to the sidelines, they're banished from the field altogether. This is wrong. If we want to give our children the creative skills they need to succeed today, we must correct this mistake. You know, I'm reminded of Albert Einstein, a lackluster student whose life was forever changed when he discovered Mozart at the age of 13. Classical music provided Einstein with creative nourishment and is credited with inspiring him to discover relativity. Einstein's name is invoked a lot these days when educators and political leaders discuss the need to strengthen student achievement in the areas of science, technology, engineering, and math, the so-called STEM skills. And I absolutely agree that we must emphasize them to ensure our global competitiveness. Science and math help to promote creativity, thinking skills, and problem solving. They're essential. But children need art and music as well. So if we want to bring our schools out of the industrial age, we must take a comprehensive approach to education, one that encompasses all the essential disciplines. On this, I speak from experience. I was raised just up the road in Baltimore, where I had the benefit of a great public school education. The schools I attended, art and music were as important as reading, math, and science. I cannot imagine how my life would have changed if I'd not had the early introduction to the arts in the classroom and at home, for that matter. And I'm sure many of you feel the same way. As a society, stifling creativity diminishes our spirit of innovation, and that reduces our economic productivity. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are economic implications to all of this. The nonprofit arts industry supports 6 million jobs and generates more than $165 billion in economic activity each year, including more than $100 billion in spending by arts audiences. But even those numbers don't tell the full story because, as the late, great Beverly Sills said, the arts are the signatures of society. Unfortunately, I fear America's signature has become a little distorted. What I mean is this: American culture is one of our nation's biggest exports. We're known throughout the world for our music, our movies, and our TV shows. Bill Ivey, the former chairman of the National Endowment for the Arts, offers a great anecdote to illustrate this. He wrote about how in Morocco, impoverished villagers without electricity will take the battery out of their car, bring it to their home, and hook it up to a TV set so they can watch Baywatch. Now, people in countries across the globe have enjoyed Baywatch for years. In its heyday, the series was said to be the world's most popular show, and it remains popular in reruns. I don't know about you, but I hate thinking that Baywatch is our greatest cultural export. America should be known for its rich, textured, artistic culture, because as we've seen time and again, the arts feed our soul, they inspire us, and they stretch our possibilities. That's what makes us human. It has the power to bring people together, breaking down barriers in language, geography, culture, and yes, even ideology. This is why PBS is committed to strengthening the arts in America. Our goal is to use the power of media to make the arts available to all. We remain committed to performing art series such as Live from Lincoln Center, Great Performances, and In Performance at the White House, Art in the 21st Century. But we're also offering new cultural context, such as the recent multimedia series Latin Music USA, which examined the musical fusions that enrich our popular music. In addition, we're inviting Americans to experience the arts in new ways and through our new PBS Arts website. You know, for many adults, electronic media represents their sole means of experiencing dance, theater, and music. And recent research from the NEA also shows that people who engage with the arts on air or online are 3 times more likely to attend a live event than non-media users. We need our national leaders to strengthen their commitment to the National Endowment for the Arts, the primary cultural organization in the U.S. Last fall, Congress increased the agency's budget by more than $12 million for a total of $165 million. That's a start, but it's still less than 1% of total non-military federal spending. Contrast this with other nations that place a premium on the protection and promotion of their cultural health. The United States, by one measure, spends about $9 per person on government arts spending. Contrast this with other countries that spend upwards of $70. We can clearly do better. The share of philanthropy being directed to arts organizations have declined dramatically in recent years. Nonprofit arts organizations received $13 billion in 2008, down 10% from the amount they received the year before. Then there's the role individual citizens can play. As leaders in business, as leaders of nonprofits, as citizens, we all have a role to play in restoring creativity and the arts to the center of society. Because the fact is, the answer to America's greatest challenges, jobs, education, international relations, lie not only in business, technology, and politics. These answers can be found in the arts. The bottom line is that the issue we've heard so much during the midterm election, jobs, it's also about the issue we didn't hear enough about, renewing innovation and reinvigorating workforce development, ensuring citizens have the skills they need to compete in these complicated times. Ultimately, this is about preparing the next generation of Americans for the demands of tomorrow's world. And in the end, isn't that the most important job of all? Thank you very much.